Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special session where we are going to answer all your questions related to markets. आज आपने जैसे देखा बहुत ही दिनों के बाद मार्केट ने बहुत ही अच्छा रिटर्न आया है, अच्छे गेन्स मिले हैं इंडेक्स में। तो आप सारे हमारे जो कस्टमर निवेशक हैं और जो सोशल मीडिया में फॉलो करते हैं, उन सब ने जो क्वेश्चंस भेजे हैं उसके लिए आप सबका धन्यवाद। Today we've got more than 200 questions and we are going to look at answering as many questions as possible today in this particular webinar. So before starting, on specific question, what I would request you all is that this portfolio on what do you do with your portfolio allocation? How do you reach a portfolio? This is the main topic that we are going to talk about today. We all have had portfolios which have turned negative after this COVID-19 in India. इससे कैसे बाहर निकलें? क्या स्ट्रैटेजी होनी चाहिए हमें? किन शेयरों को रखना चाहिए, किन को नहीं रखना चाहिए? क्या करना चाहिए मुझे म्यूचुअल फंड के साथ? ये सारे क्वेश्चन जो है आज हम इस पर्टिकुलर वेबिनार के अंदर उन सबको आंसर करने का कोशिश करेंगे। सो लेट मी जस्ट स्टार्ट क्योंकि क्वेश्चंस बहुत ज्यादा हैं और टॉपिक्स क्वेश्चन से कवर हो जाएंगे। तो लेट अस टेक ऑल योर क्वेश्चंस वन बाय वन। पहला क्वेश्चन अहमदाबाद से मिस्टर धर्मेंद्र का है। हिज क्वेश्चन इज टेल व्हिच आर द टॉप stocks to add to build a portfolio from next 10 years perspective. So the first thing is that if you look at the market, it has gone through a very bad phase because today there is a real fear of recession. अब जो रिसेशन होती है उसको हम तीन चीजों से मेजर करना देखेंगे कि उसका इम्पैक्ट कैसे है मार्केट पे। एक चीज है डेप्थ, कितनी डेप्थ है, कितना सिवियरिटी है, कि अगर आपकी सेल्स डाउन है तो कितनी डाउन होगी इस रिसेशन में, 5%, 15%, 50%, 70%, 80%। तो अगर कोई ऐसा धंधा है जिसके अंदर 70-80% से आपका सेल्स डाउन हो जाएगा, ऑब्वियसली वो बिजनेस थोड़ा संभाल के उसके अंदर निवेश करने का सोचिए। दूसरा पॉइंट है डिफ्यूजन, कि कितना है लेंथ ऑफ ब्रेथ का। जो ये महामारी हुई है उसकी वजह से कितने डिफरेंट टाइप के भिन्न भिन्न प्रकार के बिजनेस है, उन पे क्या इम्पैक्ट है, बहुत ही गहरा इम्पैक्ट है। तो ऐसा नहीं है बोल सकता है कि हम पे जीरो इम्पैक्ट है, इवन टेलीकॉम सेक्टर वालों पे भी इम्पैक्ट है, हर आदमी पे इसका इम्पैक्ट है। सो द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज विच इज द मेन थिंग इज ड्यूरेशन। हाउ लॉन्ग इज दिस गोइंग टू लास्ट? That is a critical thing that everyone is going to look at. That, and frankly speaking, that is something still investors don't have an answer to. Now, why did the market go up today? Clearly, there were 2 points which helped the market. One was speculation that in Australia, there's been a new some drug which is there, which is able to kill corona 98% within 2 days. That was considered quite positive for the market. What was the other reason why the market went up? New York, last 4 days, we have seen hospitalization rate reduce. In Spain, the number of increase in the level of deaths have gone back to 19th March level. Clearly, we are seeing that there is a flattening or blunting of the curve which has happened in the market. And those are some of the key reasons why we have seen that the market has come back today. Now to the question which was asked, which are the stocks now to buy? So my belief is this is the right time to look at pharmaceutical stocks. This is the right time to look at insurance stocks. This may not be the right time to be very aggressive on the banking and finance sector. Why? Because more than 40% weightage is there to that particular sector. And as we see going forward, there will be a lot of challenges in the sector in terms of collections. So until and unless we see a clear roadmap, which hopefully we might get before 15 from the Honorable Prime Minister, about how this lockdown is going to come back, is going to get diluted over next couple of weeks. That is going to be the critical thing. So I believe till then, it is two sectors, insurance as well as pharmaceutical, which is what investors should be looking at buying. So stock specific recommendations would be Sun Pharmaceutical. Second stock would be your IPCA Labs. Third could be Dr. Reddy's. So these are the three that you can look at. From the insurance side, SBI Life is a good stock to buy. ICICI Lombard is another good stock to buy. So these are some of the stocks that you can clearly look at buying from the current level perspective. The next question which I've got is from Mr. Sahu from Noida. He's purchased 200 shares of SBI and he wanted to understand what to do with it. And he also has shares of Yes Bank. Well, Mr. Sahu, in case of Yes Bank, the thing is that those shares, three-fourths of those shares are already long. So for next 3 years, you cannot do anything with those investments. So I would suggest whatever it is there, you just keep on holding it. With regard to SBI, yes, the stock has corrected a lot, but I would, in this kind of a COVID scenario, look at investing incremental money if I have to invest in BFSI. So let me emphasize, if we have to invest in BFSI, then it has to be in a HDFC bank, a Kotak Bank, or a HDFC Limited. Why HDFC Limited? They have a business which is right now available at a valuation of just 80,000 crore. If I take into consideration there's value of stake that they have in HDFC Bank, as well as what valuation one would give to their insurance business, their AMC business. So HDFC and Kotak would be the names that you should be looking at investing in. Next question that investors are asking is Mr. Singla is asking about, I want to invest for next 4 to 5 years in Piramal Enterprises, Bajaj Finance, and Federal Bank. Well, in case of Piramal, I would not like to right now recommend you to buy because they still have large exposure to real estate, where I feel there will be a lot of stress going forward. In case of Bajaj Finance, the management came with quite disturbing commentary. So, in case the lockdown continues till May end, you could see further reduction in the price of Bajaj Finance stock. So, everything is dependent on lockdown. In terms of prices, if you're able to get the stock around 1800 level, that would be a good entry point to look at the stock. And Federal Bank right now, looking at where the market is, I would not recommend you to invest in any of these small cap banks. Focus on the top two names, HDFC and Kotak. Maximum, if you want to look at, they probably look at ICICI Bank. Next question, which people have asked, is what is the right way to do SIP in stock, whether on basis of fixed amount or fixed quantity? I have never been able to earn in stock market. Even return from SIP have wiped out in the correction. Well, Mr. Narang, I presume you are doing these investments because you may not have too much of expertise in terms of understanding about stocks. So I would say don't listen to tips that you get from people. The best would be for you not to do an SIP in stocks, because one of the problem with doing SIP in stocks is a stock may come down from a certain level, by 70-80%. But the reasons of that could be genuine. Like, for example, in case of future retail, the stock has come down drastically, but the reason for that is that the business model is going through a very bad time. No sales are happening, they have cash flow issues, a lot of those kind of challenges there. Whereas in the same industry, there's a company called DMart, which is Avenue Supermart, which is doing pretty well. So I would say, please, I understand you are having pain in terms of your SIP in mutual fund. Please continue with the SIP if possible. If not, don't redeem it. That would be my humble request to you. Next question is from Sadhana. So Sadhna's question is very interesting. She had invested around 20% of money in blue chips, and rest of the money was in debt held liquid, and now there's a 40% loss in the investment in the stock. So she's asking what to do and what not. So I think so from an asset allocation perspective, since she already has a large amount of money in the debt side, on the liquid fund side, it would make sense for Sadhana to deploy part of the money into the equity market. So don't be very aggressive in doing that. But Sadhana, what I would recommend you is that probably from a 21% allocation that you had to equity, which now came down to around 16% because of the because it has come down to around 12% because of the fall in market. Uh, I would say go back to that 21% allocation, increase that 9% weightage, shift your allocation from the liquid funds that you have or the debt you have, and move into stocks, and probably do it from a mutual fund route. That would be my humble advice to you. Next question somebody has asked is about DMart, Mr. Mali. Mr. Mali, I think so from next couple of years perspective, I think so this company is likely to do well. The question is the valuation of this stock, and it's always available at crazy valuation. So if you're holding the stock, I think so you should continue holding the stock. Don't look at the stock price. It's amazing management. They do brilliant work in COVID-19. The kind of response they've given is also awesome. So I think you should continue with the stock. Whether to buy at current levels, it will be very difficult to say considering the valuation at which the stock is trading at. The next question is from Asi from Odisha. Which banks would weather the storm? I've already answered the bank. HDFC and Kotak. He says I'm not interested in the name, but I'm interested in the parameters. Historically, how bad retail loans can go. Well, that's a very intelligent question that's been asked by him. So I think so. You look at the data which has come. Clearly, we are seeing gains and market share gains happening for HDFC Bank. In case of Kotak Bank, we saw yesterday their CASA has improved from 54% to around 56.5% or so. They've clearly taken more CASA incremental market share from the likes of Yes Bank. So from that perspective, I think so these two, whether you look at capital adequacy, whether you look at lower NPAs, whether they look at the ability to withstand the crisis that we are seeing in COVID, I think so these two banks are likely to do better relative to the other banks which are there. So these would be my recommendations for you to invest, looking at the capital adequacy and NPA level. Next question is Mohammed had asked about SOF and I think so market strategy. So I think so. Most of those products. They were dependent on market doing pretty well, and I think so as the market rebounds over the next couple of months, a lot of these stocks which were bought in those funds, they are likely to rebound significantly. And I'm sure since the fund, especially the SOF fund, was doing pretty well over till last 3 months back, I'm sure over a period of time you could see a significant improvement in that. They have a lot of stakes in some of the key companies like National Stock Exchange. So when the IPO of that comes, that can really help get you bump up in terms of returns going forward. Next question, which Deep Mukherjee has asked, is about should a key buy stock like Hawkins, Britannia, HDFC, VST, Hester Biosys. So I think so. Looking at broadly the stocks that he's mentioned, I think so a lot of those stocks deserve a good multiple. They are trading at decent valuation, though they have come down from their 52-week highs. So yes, these would be good stocks to invest right now. Would be my recommendation. Next question is from Mr. Nanda. He wants to know how much can market go down. So probably we can look at market maybe if we don't see a flattening curve, which we have saw in the last 2-3 days, and that's the reason the market has rallied now. But yes, it is possible the market can go to 7,500 level. So that is the maximum that we are looking for the market to go down. Should he average in the other a lot of stock that he talked about, IDFC Bank? I don't think so. It is the right time. I think so. If he wants to average in the stock that he talked about, it will probably be an HDFC Bank that he can look at, and Mahindra and Mahindra. that he should look at. He should increase his weightage in IT companies like Infosys, like Cipla. Those will be the kind of companies that he can look at investing in. Next question which has come is for BHEL, NBCC, SAIL, NALCO. I think so. If you already own these stocks, I don't see a sense in selling it because the stocks have come down drastically now. But please don't average these stocks because we don't know when the economy is going to come back. They will not do well in terms of production, sales, and volumes in this kind of economy. Next question that we have is Mr. Divakar, who is invested in Andhra Bank, Central Bank, PNB, SpiceJet. Uh, I think so. Most of these stocks, if you have, I think so. It's time, Mr. Divakar, to diversify your portfolio into insurance and insurance and pharma sector that we've already discussed about. I would say it would not make sense for you to average right now because we don't know about the future outlook of these companies till we know about the duration of the lockdown. Next question is from Mr. Shaw. He has invested in various mutual fund. Portfolio is down by 20%. Uh, and going forward, what should he do? Hold on, Mr. Shaw. That is what I can recommend. I can assure you, you are going through a very bad phase where you thought that mutual fund sahi hai, हर साल 15-20% से return मिलेगा ही, and that has not happened. But this is a one in a time historic event which has happened over the last 80 years. We have never seen economies close down like that. We are seeing the impact of that in your mutual fund return. So I would say just hold on to your investment. If you don't have the ability right now to put in more money, just stay calm. If you don't want to do SIP, don't do. But whatever you have invested, just keep on holding it. I'm sure you will get your money back one day. Next question that we've got is from Dr. Manny. He has NBCC and SCI. Same question. I think he needs to switch to insurance and pharmaceutical. He's a doctor, so I'm sure he knows about pharmaceutical sector. Insurance also looks pretty good to us because number of mortalities will drastically reduce. Number of people who will die from corona is going to be less than people who die from accidents. So for insurance company, it is a blessing in disguise, and I think so they'll continue to do pretty well going forward. Next question is from Mr. Mahesh. Which stock to hold in Nifty 50 rupee dollar? So I do see that rupee might stabilize now going forward. RBI has enough reserves right now, and going forward, we don't see a reason for a run on the rupee going forward. So I think so it should do pretty well. Which stocks to hold in Nifty 50. So we have already discussed the stock. It's time to be overweight on pharmaceutical. You can buy a little bit of IT as well. So basic point is let's not increase our exposure to the BFSI sector till we know about the duration of this lockdown. Next question that we have is, can you tell some some small good mid cap that we can invest in? So the mid cap that we can clearly look at investing could be something like a Deepak Nitrite. It could be an Atul Industries. It could be a Naveen Fluorine. So the some of the good companies that we can clearly look at investing in this particular market. Clearly, when we see that the Chinese, manufacturing is probably going to shift to India because a lot of global companies have heard the behavior of China over the last couple of months, and that is likely to benefit most of these companies. Mr. Balu has asked about housing loan deduction for 3 months. I would say don't go for the moratorium which has been announced by the RBI. What will happen is your interest will continue to get accrued. It will continue to get compounded. For that reason, if you have money, pay your EMI. Please don't take that moratorium. It is not something beneficial. Only if you have a very severe cash flow issue, then only look at not paying money in the moratorium. Ms. Manju Sharma wanted to check about some stocks. These stocks are Reliance, SBI Card, L&T, Axis Bank. So L&T you can look at buying at the lower levels, but they would not be the favorite ones. Like Mr. Varman Rao, whose question I had taken earlier on mid caps. I think so. HUL, DMart, L&T, Power Grid, Bata, Nestle. I think that would be a kind of stock that you would be comfortable in recommending in this kind of a market. Mr. Tomar asking about Bajaj Finance. We have already spoken about it. I think so. Tata Chemical should do okay once the lockdown subsides. So yes, you can look at averaging in case of Tata. In case of Tata Chemicals for Bajaj Finance, we have to wait for the lockdown to go. Question next has come for Ashok Leyland. The time has come to buy the stock. I don't think so. It is you have to have a wait and watch approach till the lockdown reduces comes down, because commercial vehicle sector is going to particularly get hit with what has happened. So Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland are not stocks to average at this particular juncture. Somebody is asking, should I invest in Syntex? Obviously, it's a defaulted company, so no point in investing in those companies. Mr. Kumar is asking about Tata Motors and Yes Bank. Yes Bank we have already answered. Tata Motors also we have answered. Mr. Savannah Kumar. Uh, uh, Begum wants to know about ICICI Pru. I'm not sorry, stock, Bamalori, Kalyani Steel, BHEL, we've gotten, there's a host of stock that they've given. So I think so that when you have to invest in stocks, you seem to have a very long list of stocks, and a lot of these stocks are not suitable stocks for retail investors. So I would recommend uh, to Ms. Begum to look at investing rather than in these stocks, to probably they should continue holding ICICI Pru. That is a good stock. But other than that, I think so. It's time to take more weightage in the pharmaceutical sector. Please suggest good investment opportunity with higher regular return for 2 3 years for a pensioner. So if you're a pensioner, if you're looking for 2 3 years of returns, high yielding returns, so what you can do is either invest in a AAA rated corporate bond fund. That would be one recommendation. Second recommendation would be that if you can look at investing in some of the debt papers which are available in the market, which are backed by sovereign. Those are the kind of investment that you can look at. Mr. Gupta wanted to know about future retail. I think so. You should sell the stock if you whatever chance you get, Mr. Gupta. It is time to sell future retail. Next question is from Mr. Mohanty. He has an investment in DSP equity bond fund, HDFC Balanced Advantage, Nippon Large Cap, Sundaram Equity Hybrid. Should I continue or shift? So I think so. What you need to do is probably ensure that most of these investments are in growth plan rather than dividend plan, because going forward there will be an issue in terms of taxation with the dividend becoming taxable for funds. So I would recommend you that incrementally whatever money you invest not in a dividend plan, but more into a regular into a growth plan. Mr. Lanchikar has a questions on Tata Motors, ICICI, Yes Bank. We've already answered those. In case of JSW Steels, I think so. Again, we have to wait for the slowdown to come. We need the slowdown to improve before saying anything. Why is IndusInd Bank down? That's a good question asked by Arul. I think so. IndusInd Bank is down, one, because more than 10% reduction has happened in terms of their deposits. That reduction has happened because whatever money they had invested in government of India, that money has right now gone from them to other PSU banks. And the other thing which is impacting them is that right now funding has become a challenge for them. They were looking at having some AT1 bonds, but because of what happened with Yes Bank, they were not able to do the same. Next question is I want Mr. Jain wants to know about his portfolio. Mr. Jain, please send a mail at research@ifl.com. We will help you out with your stock health. We have launched a new product called FP360 also, where we give you a very detailed analysis of your reports. So once you send a mail to us or contact your RM, we'll be able to help you with that. Why Cummins is coming down even when index is going down? Because capital good going forward will not do anything. We don't see anything happening in the capital good sector over next 3 to 4 quarters, and for that reason, Cummins, since it's exposed to the capital goods sector, that is the reason we are seeing that the stock is not doing well. Next question is about Kotak Focus Fund. Kotak Multi Cap Focus Fund is something that we like. That's a good strategy to get into the small cap and the mid cap side of the market. So I would recommend to you to look at Kotak Multi Cap Fund. It's a decent fund to look at. As for what is the best investment for trader that we have already discussed? We have talked about the stocks also. Which are the top mutual funds to invest in? Depends on your risk profile. If you're looking for investment in a focus strategy, I think so. Then you have some of the funds like IIFL Focus Fund, which one of our AMC also has. That looks good. If you're looking at getting exposure to large cap as well as middle cap and Kotak multi-strategy that we talked about, that looks good. You were talking about investing in small cap and you're willing to take a risk, then I think so SBI looks an attractive fund to invest in. Best stock to invest right now in order to have good returns. We have already discussed on that. So let me just take some questions which have not come earlier, and while I'm answering those. Gas sector, I think so. We like the city gas distribution company, so you can look at investing in IGL. That's a decent story to look at. You can look at Mahanagar Gas also as a story to look at. There could be some impact in terms of demand, in terms of the autos are not running, but in terms of fuel consumption, clearly those businesses will continue to prosper. HDFC twins we like. Axis Bank would be our choice. So first will be an HDFC, Kotak. Number 3 will be ICICI. Number 4 will be an Axis Bank. Cement sector view is negative for the sector because we feel that valuations are a bit expensive relative to the slowdown that we are going to see overall. Insurance sector is what we really like. So, Deepika has asked from Chennai about mutual fund investment being down. So, she is asked about to put some more money in MG. I'm not sure what full form of MG is, so would not be able to answer that. But structurally, yes, it is the right time to look at investing in mutual fund, but don't put everything right now. So, how I've been telling investors is, suppose today the market is at 8,000, and you look at the market, you will invest between the level of say between 6,500 to level of 9,500. So what you do is you invest 5% of your allocation at 9,500, 10% at 9,000, 15% at 8,500, 20% at 8,000. And then as you go along, you keep on adding your position. I think so that kind of a step, kind of a step up kind of investing in terms of mutual funds would be what I'll be recommending to Deepika. So Prasad wants to know he already has 6 mutual fund and he wants to look at more SIPs. I think Prasad, since you already are quite diversified, each mutual fund anyway invest in more than 50 stocks. I would recommend to you to invest in one of those 6 mutual funds only and not look at buying further in terms of mutual funds. Somebody is asking me about prospect of Federal Bank and Karur Bank. So as I said earlier, we will be more bullish on the bigger banks rather than recommending the smaller banks. Somebody asked about view on ICICI. We already discussed. IRCTC is another stock that we like because I think so. Right now, the valuation wise, it is trading at 22 multiple on a normalized basis. Yes, there will be challenges in order to start the rail service going forward, but we believe that over next 6 months they'll be back on track. So that's a good stock to own. TCS also looks good to us. Next question that the investors ask is, should I average them or Z, Rain, Motherson, Lakshmi Vilas, Mahindra Irrigation, 1% IDFC. So I think so. See, there's an interesting study before the COVID crisis that whatever stocks had corrected by 60-70% from their highs, they never came back to those prices during that year. So I think so from that perspective, Lakshmi, what I have to say, you might be disappointed, but it's unlikely that soon these stocks will touch their highs again. So I would recommend you not to look at averaging these stocks, whereas look at this time to diversify your portfolio and look at other stocks to invest in. Shiva Kumar has asked about crude. So clearly, I think so. Crude is dependent on what's happening on the U.S., Russia, and Europe in terms of their relationship and the kind of negotiation they are having. We last week only recommended a very strong buy on crude, and the crude went up by close to around 15% post that. I think so. Crude continues. You have to look at the levels. So whenever the crude goes to around 2022 level, that I think so is a good level to pick up crude going forward. So Anita is asking about buying large cap stocks, averaging. See, and she's put a valid point. Should I wait till May end or should I do it in two sessions? I just think so, Anita. The first point is better. That you should look at probably doing it in two stages. Look at averaging at this point once and then later on, because you never know that stocks you might get the stocks at lower level. If the stocks assuming bounce back from current level, at least you have done some investment. So I think so that would be a better strategy for you. Somebody is asking about SBI cards. So SBI cards, the challenge is going to be that they'll continue to report decent growth in terms of accrual income, because if somebody owns a credit card, they will continue to charge interest on it. However, payments may be an issue. So you can clearly see that NPAs for SBI cards are going to go up. So maybe look at a 10% correction from current level and then only look at entering the stock, because the business dynamics have changed significantly relative to what they were at the time of the IPO 1 month back. Should I hold Suzlon? No, you should not hold to Suzlon. Should I look at Gati? There has been some change in my ownership which has happened, but I don't see the sector coming back easily because cost overruns are going to happen. Club Mahindra, yes, the market cap has come to Mahindra Holidays market cap has come down to 18,000 or 800 crores. But I clearly see that the hospitality sector will take at least 6 months to 9 months before it recovers. So no, you should not be looking at buying in that. Should you invest in Bandhan? I think so. It's still very difficult to get collections in for those people in that sector. You should not look at that. You are looking at ITC. ITC clearly is a stock that you can add on clearly from a dividend play perspective. Clearly from a perspective, they are talking about using 85 to 90% of their cash flow and distributing it in dividend. Arun has asked about monthly investment, 1,000 rupees. How's Relaxo as a stock? I think this is a great stock, Arun. But the point is that you will be able for only 1,000 rupees, you can only probably one stock, one share. It's the stock price will be some 600 something or so. So how would you be able to do by just 1,000 rupees investment is what you can look at. So someone is asking about Bajaj holdings. When bear market happens, the holding count increases, so you should not look at investing in this particular stock at this particular point of time. You should not look at investing in Aurobindo Pharma because their recent deal with Sandoz has collapsed. So, Ume, who has asked this question, I would recommend not to look at HDIL stock or even look at this one. Even Bharat Forge will have challenges, and even Amara Raja Batteries also. Till the auto slowdown happens, till the lockdown happens, they will continue to face pressure. So, Mr. Manish Joshi has asked the question. I don't have any stock in DP. What are the five sticks to invest in? So, Manish, I'll again reiterate the stock that I like. The stocks that I like are Ipca Labs, Sun Pharma. If you're looking for small cap stocks, mid cap stock, then Naveen Fluorine, Deepak Nitrate, large cap stocks, Bharti Airtel is another stock because telecom will do well in the current kind of a meltdown. So these are stocks that I like. So which are the emerging sectors? We've already reiterated that pharmaceutical and insurance are the emerging sectors right now that one needs to look at. Somebody is asking why investing in IDFC first at 20 bucks. I would not recommend you to buy despite the sharp price correction. They have a very big book of high interest, which is due for redemption next year, and they will have a lot of challenges in terms of raising of capital. So I would not recommend you to look at stocks like IDFC first. Future consumers is a stock that you can avoid, and if you are able to sell it, so I would recommend you to sell the stock. That was for Mr. Mishra from Delhi. Bandhan Bank, microfinance is going through a very bad time, so I would recommend you not to buy that stock. So Rakesh, if you can look at investing somewhere else, that would be a better opportunity because microfinance, the time for next 2-3 quarters for that sector are pretty bad. People has asked about Innocent Bank, Yes Bank. We've already answered those questions. Met energy sector. So in case of energy sector, I think it makes more sense to look at Petronet LNG as well as IGL and MGL. Those will be better stocks. Even you can consider Gujarat Gas because of the Morbi. Uh, they have a complete supply over that area for ceramics, and we are seeing that in Middle East and all they have shifted outsourcing from China to Morbi. So those kind of stocks could be looked at. Uh, for stocks like IOC, GAIL, Coal India, and ONGC, since they are all government owned and we don't know what government will do with the cash flow, I would not recommend you to buy this at this particular point of time. Somebody is asking about VROC and Avanti Seed. I think Avanti will go through a terrible time because no one is interested in having seafood in this particular point of time. No one wants to have even chicken, so Venki's also should not do well. And with regard to VROC engineering, I think so there is in doldrums, so I think so they'll continue to be paying this particular stock going forward as well. So somebody is asking a question that I've been investing for last Mr. Bagela from Vadodara that I've been investing for last 3-4 years and my stocks are down 50-60%. See, the reason for loss is clearly how the corona has impacted portfolio for everyone. So what you should be doing, I think, so if you're not able to understand how stock market works in terms of how stocks have to be bought and sold if they don't work and all. I would suggest to you, you shift your investments to mutual funds from stocks. That would be a better opportunity way for you to investing. Somebody is asking question on RBL Bank. So RBL Bank has come down drastically to I think so now level of less than 110. It is down by more than 80% if I am right. I think so. The challenges for them is how do they ensure next 2 3 months are going to be good. So if their collections are good, I think so the stock can here go up 2x from current price. That is not a question. So an investor who has a very high risk taking ability, they can only look at averaging in case of RBL Bank. So Jonith Gupta has asked from Bangalore, is chemical sector benefit from the situation? Which stock to look for? So clearly, we mentioned earlier, you can look at Deepak Nitride, you can look at Naveen Sori. These will be the good stocks to buy from the sector. What are the SBI we already done. Let me just take some of the other questions. So these were questions which had come from clients, which most of these questions I've answered. As you know, 95% of stocks have already been covered. Uh, somebody is asked, Kundan has asked about technical research. कि technical research क्या लगता है? So see, मुझे क्या लगता है after COVID क्या होने वाला है कि मार्केट का लेवल्स कब आता है, तो अभी अगर 9000 के ऊपर का निफ्टी जाता है, उसके बाद हम निफ्टी के अंदर और ऊपर अगर उसका क्लोज होता है 9000 9100 के ऊपर, तब निफ्टी में एक और लेवल का देख सकते हैं बढ़त। इकोनॉमी के बारे में बैंक जी ने पूछा है क्वेश्चन। इकोनॉमी जो है काफी बुरी खस्ता हालत में है। अपनी इकोनॉमी $2.8 ट्रिलियन डॉलर की है। अगर हमें अपनी इकोनॉमी बचानी है तो लगभग $250 बिलियन डॉलर्स का इन्वेस्टमेंट करना पड़ेगा, जो अभी सरकार कुछ कर नहीं रही है। आरबीआई को अपने जो रिजर्व्स हैं वो कम करने पड़ेंगे, उसको पैसा मार्केट में देना पड़ेगा, जो लोग पैसा नहीं लौटा पा रहे उसका हिट आरबीआई को लेना पड़ेगा। तो हमारे एस्टिमेट के हिसाब से जो बिमल जलान जो हमारे पूर्व आरबीआई के गवर्नर थे, जिन्होंने कहा था कि आरबीआई 21% ही रखना चाहिए अपना रिजर्व्स, उसके हिसाब से अगर हम चले तो आरबीआई को लगभग 4 लाख करोड़ जो है वो मार्केट में देना चाहिए, जो अभी नहीं दे रही है, परंतु अगर वो देगी तो क्लियरली उससे निवेशकों को बेनिफिट होगा। With that, I think so. We have answered most of the questions which had come to us before the seminar. I will just go through some of the other questions which are coming. Somebody asked that he's doing Nippon US Opportunity Fund, SIP. I think so. Going forward, also you can look at continuing to do that because a lot of the companies in US, marquee names which have been invested in that particular fund, uh, they continue to drive business and they are at the forefront of digitization and the Googles, the Ubers of the world. And clearly, we don't see that their models failing in long term. There may be a short-term cash flow issue and in terms of business, but other than that, it looks quite attractive to look at doing SIP in Nippon US Opportunity Fund. Axis Small Cap Fund also, Chakradhar, you can look at continuing to be with your investment. Tata Power, I think so. There has been some season in terms of Mudra, and for that, we've seen that the stock has changed its course recently. So I think so. That could be one stock that you can look at, considering where the stock has come right now. Looking at the decision which have happened in case of Mudra. RBL, I have already answered. I think so. So I think so. Most of these stocks which have been come in the chat also, we have already discussed those stocks. Yes, I think so. 95% of the stocks have already been covered by us. So with that, we come to the end of this webinar, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for lot for joining. अगर आपकी और भी ऐसी क्वेरीज होंगी तो कृपया हमें मेल करते रहिए। हम और ये फीडबैक दीजिए इस वेबिनार के बारे में, हम आगे जाके भी ऐसे सेशन करते रहेंगे। Namaskar. Dhanyavad. Thanks a lot for joining. Let's hope that this COVID-19 goes out of our life soon. Bye bye.